Are we going to mess with the sound or?
No, we'll leave it the same way. I haven't actually heard it, so hopefully it's good. Because otherwise, we're gonna have 2 episodes. It's something trying to edit.
That like little flap over your ear or whatever, I think is slightly different on my left ear than my right ear because it never goes in correctly. My right ear fits perfect. My left ear, I'm always like, it never fits. So I think something is slightly different.
Like it's too small, too big.
I think my ear hole or whatever is too big for the thing compared to this one that fits perfectly. This one's slightly bigger.
Well, they have different sizes. You can put a different size on one of them.
Oh, but I always end up fucking with this one because it's like it doesn't fit properly because I think my ear, the ear flap whole like part of it is slightly larger diameter than this one.
I don't know what we did with those things, but I'm sure they're around here somewhere.
You okay over there?
Gotta try and get in the perfectly aligned position. Welcome to the Desert Lair, episode 14. I'm Dustin, a functional misanthrope. Dylan's here. He's a mostly functional nerd. This week, we're talking about The Flash from 2023 and Violent Cop 1989. First, we'll get into the news. There's a couple movies out, Sinners and Thunderbolts. So Sinners looks pretty interesting. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I haven't seen anything about that one.
It looks like a vampire movie. It looks pretty interesting. I'll definitely watch that one some point in time. The other one, Thunderbolts, it looks pretty good, but I just have to add it to the long list of Marvel movies that I still need to watch at this point.
I'll watch it eventually.
Seems like a good Marvel movie. I just have to get caught up with a million other properties in that franchise. Nintendo has revised their user agreement. They basically have said if you break their agreement, they reserve the right essentially to brick your Switch.
To brick it.
More or less. They can render it unusable.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to this question of what is a service? What do you own? What do you not own? To me, regardless of whether or not you've broke a term of service, that doesn't give anyone the right to destroy your hardware. Period.
Yeah, maybe they should just like, so you can't access the internet anymore or something like, something less extreme than brick it.
They didn't specify, and who knows how far they would take that, but it is Nintendo, so it wouldn't surprise me. But again, it's a question of where should the legality end of whether a company is allowed to brick your hardware.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
It's interesting. It's a slippery slope. Activision is suing the creators of Call of Duty Hack. It says it is so toxic it's causing fans to quit playing the PC version. This is another interesting one to me because they weren't just handing out this hack. They were charging people for it. So it becomes a point of they're monetizing a program which is causing harm to a service. If you just made it and you were distributing it and like, hey, use it however you want, it's up to you to determine that. But when you're actually selling it to people with the intent of using it in a harmful way, I think Activision has a case here, and I feel like they're probably in the right in this case.
Personally, I hope they get sued into the ground and they think twice about making hacks again, but I don't know.
You and I both play online games, or rather we did. I not so much anymore. You maybe a little bit still, but cheaters are the most annoying thing in the world. Valve seems to largely have this figured out for the most part. I mean, there's still cheating. There's still stuff going on, but by and large, it isn't that big of an issue. I mean, back when I played Counter-Strike, you played Day of Defeat. Every once in a while, you get someone hacking, but it wasn't super hard to get rid of them.
Well, I mean, those times you had control of your own server. Oh, we see you hacking? Permaban. Done. Never see you again. Bye.
When we were playing, it was easier. Now, I imagine a bit more difficult. And obviously, this is causing Activision a considerable amount of grief and harm. And I get to a certain extent if you're trolling people, like you've downloaded a hack, you're going to go play a game and just troll people. But doesn't that get old at some point? I never got the hacking. I never hacked. I get it from a perspective of it's fun to troll people sometimes, but the cheating aspect of it is just, oh, you're just a piece of shit. It's just lame. I don't get it.
You want to cheat, do whatever you want in a single-player game to make it more interesting or fun or make it more convenient, I guess, in some cases. But it's just, I don't know, multiplayer is unacceptable to me.
Yeah, I agree 100%, obviously.
I forget what company exactly, but they want to raise the bar again to make it like $80 for games. And a couple games recently of like, okay, we're going to go the opposite way and go down to 50. So there's kind of like this war of, obviously, consumers want the lower price. I guess there's a thing of, well, if we end up getting lower price, our game's going to be lower quality because they get less money. I don't know how the whole logistics of that works.
There's a lot involved in terms of how many copies are you going to sell at X? How many copies are you going to sell at Y price versus how much your game costs to make? There's a lot of factors involved. The bottom line is, expect games to be more expensive. It's headed that way. They're more expensive to make. They have to give every spare cent. Every penny has to go to shareholders. They're going to wring every dollar out of things.
To them, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. To just try and raise that bar ever so slightly every time or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to happen. If people are releasing games at $50, AA or even AAA titles, enjoy it while it lasts, but expect that's not going to be the norm. It's just not.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be annoying if prices go up, but it's what happens. That's the way it is.
It sucks, but unless everyone decides not to buy games, which will never happen, you're stuck with it. Before we get into these movies, I watched a couple other movies. The first one is The Bird with the Crystal Plumage from 1970. This is a movie directed by Dario Argento. It's his directorial debut. He has a lot of influential and really interesting films. So he makes films that are in the horror in this giallo genre. It's kind of murder mystery horror thriller is this specific genre, kind of where he operates. This movie, it looks good. 4K transfer's good. There's a lot of interesting themes. It's a great directorial debut. It feels like a film school kind of movie in a lot of ways. Not to say that it's unwatchable by normal people, but there's a lot of stuff in there you could dissect. I didn't go to film school, so we're not going to do that, but there's definitely a lot to pick apart in there if you like it. I will watch more Argento movies. We might do an episode on 1 or 2 of them at some point in time in the future. This movie, it's an Arrow release. I was going to bring the box, but I forgot about it. So Arrow is kind of similar to Criterion. They don't do movies necessarily in the same genre, but they, like Criterion, they have the high-end releases. They handpick movies. A lot of them have cult status or are important. I did like in the extras of this Blu-ray, they had an interview with a woman named Kat Ellinger. So she's a film critic, maybe kind of part historian. She's a film nerd. I appreciated her input on the movie, and she's just extremely knowledgeable about Dario Argento and a lot of films from these periods. So I really enjoyed that they included her interview on this. It's pretty neat. I will say maybe they could have used some help in filming that interview and just leave it at that. But other than that, I did like it. I don't want to say too much about this movie. I did like it, though. 3.5 stars. It was interesting to watch. Looks good. The next movie I watch, Talk to Me from 2022. This one is directed by Danny and Michael Filippo. Critically, this movie did really well. It's a horror movie or a horror thriller movie. Here's the thing. The premise is kind of hard for me to accept because they have this hand. They grab the hand. They talk to it, or they say, talk to me, and then they can see spirits, and then they say, let me in or something, and then the spirit essentially possesses them. The problem with this is they're filming the whole thing on cell phones, and they're high school kids. I feel like if all these high school kids were filming all this, it's eventually going to get to adults, and they're going to be like, what the fuck is going on with this? It's just a hard premise to accept. Cell phones, in a way, ruined horror movies. It's difficult to do them now in a lot of cases without having some kind of contrivance to get around it.
I really don't watch horror movies, so.
I like horror movies to an extent. Not a huge horror movie buff, but there are some good ones. I did have to use subtitles to watch this movie, so it takes place in Australia. Their accents are pretty thick, so I definitely needed the subtitles. But unlike a movie like, say, Alien Romulus, where everybody speaks English and then you have one guy who you can't fucking understand, this is just like, this is the place. They all talk like this. So this movie also kind of seems like it's for Gen Z. The directors seem like they're pretty in tune with Gen Z. And it makes sense, right? It's a movie about high schoolers, so you would expect that these are Gen Z high schoolers now because it's modern day. So it should probably reflect the modern generation. And it does explore some interesting themes, but again, I'm just not a big horror movie guy, and because I struggle with the premise, and it's just difficult to watch Gen Zers.
I watch streamers and they have to be updated on the trends, so they talk like that. And it's not as bad. I mean, there is slight mixing of, a little older, but I mean, yeah, they kind of have to keep up with trends if they want to be relevant. So,
I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, we are not Gen Zers, and watching Gen Z high school kids, which is ironic because I feel like I watch a lot of stuff with kids or, high school age kids and stuff, but it was a little tough. This movie, score-wise, 2.5 stars for me. It probably deserves better, but it wasn't a movie for me. I mean, critically, it did extremely well, so I think I'm in the minority on this one. That's all I had for movies, so let's get into the movies we're going to talk about. We'll start with The Flash from 2023. This movie, it stars Ezra Miller. I feel like we need to talk about that just quickly. Ezra Miller is a seriously disturbed person. There's a laundry list of weird bullshit, legal trouble. Again, I don't really want to get into it. Look it up, check it out. I just feel like we should probably at least mention that before we go on. Ezra Miller has some issues. I wanted to get your take on this movie just because you like the Flash TV show pretty well, right?
yeah, as much as I liked it, one of the big things about The Flash, time travel is always a thing. And every single show, every single iteration of movie, they always do it all different every single time. And it just, I wouldn't say confuses me, more just like, could you keep a certain level of, this is the method, we're going to stick to it. Nope. They have a completely different method for time travel in this movie. And it's so convoluted if you make a decision in the future, or you try and go back to the past, but by doing that, you change stuff further in the past while changing stuff further in the future. And they try and describe it with spaghetti noodles. I'm just okay, you try to take a super complex multiversal theory and try and break it down in a couple of minutes. It's just you leave too many holes. You make it sound like branching timelines, and then there's duplicates of people. It's well, why isn't there duplicate of others? And in the movie, there are 3 Flashes at one point. It's just this is getting out of control already.
So you want a consistent version of time travel where they follow specific rules, don't deviate from these rules. Here's the problem with time travel. A, we don't really understand how it works or how it would work because we haven't traveled in time. The other thing is you have to employ people who are knowledgeable in this thing in order to come up with a consistent version of time travel.
You have a DC universe. I'm assuming they had 5 decades to
You're iron the fucking thing out already?
Yes, it's they've had all these comments and all these other things. I'm assuming at some point they talked about the time travel thing and continuity and stuff to where it's okay, we have one consistent method. This is what we're going to stick to for all of this universe.
But to play devil's advocate here, comic books are known for just making up whatever bullshit they want and whatever new universe or whatever they want to do with it. So...
yeah, they do retcon stuff all the time in comics. It's annoying, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's any movie with TV show with time travel, just ugh.
I get it. It's difficult to do it well. It actually didn't bother me a whole lot in this movie, maybe because I'm not super invested in all these franchises to begin with. So the time travel aspect of it didn't bug me all that much. This movie is a very CG heavy movie. On top of that, they had a body double actor, and then they just CG'd Ezra Miller's face over the top of this guy, and it looks like they CG'd his face over the top.
And yeah, the costumes, it just looks awful in some places, absolutely awful.
The babies, specifically the CGI'd babies, are the fakest, most terrible looking.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, that was the specific example of the worst part of the CGI of the movie.
Not only does it look like a doll, it looks like a CGI doll. It's just terrible. We're going to pause here real quick, and I want to look at the budget for this because I didn't get it. I want to see what they spent on this movie. It says $200 million they spent on this movie. Listen, for $200 million, I want a fucking baby that looks more real than this.
TV shows where they have to do some dangerous scenario where there's a child or present. They have dolls that look pretty realistic and real that don't use CGI. It's nope, we're all CGI now. We have to do that no matter what.
It doesn't look great, for sure. The writing in this movie, especially for like the first half of this movie, again, to me, it feels like this trademark DC children's writing for the first half of this movie. Like, it's just hard to watch. The college Barry Allen is one of the most obnoxious. Like, he's Pauly Shore. Do you know who Pauly Shore is?
No.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to watch some Pauly Shore movies now. Pauly Shore is one of the most annoying people on the planet. I didn't know before watching this movie until like right before, but Michael Keaton Batman is in this movie, and it is the best part of this movie, bar none.
I did like the action scene where they go to the Soviet facility to save Supergirl. I did like that entire sequence.
Yeah, that was easily the best part of this movie. Watching Michael Keaton Batman run around and do Batman stuff was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It outshined every other Flash thing in this movie, in my opinion. It made me want to watch the original Batman movies again. Any scene with Batman in it is just a lot of fun. I liked the Michael Keaton scenes. It was a really neat addition to this movie. I'm glad they did that. I also like how they describe Aquaman as a super mermaid.
Yeah, that was funny.
Also, the Nick Cage Superman.
I saw that. I was like, do you really need to put that guy in this? Like, really?
So that Nick Cage Superman is a thing. They started pre-production on a Nick Cage Superman back in the 90s. That was kind of a nod to that. His long flowing hair just makes me laugh.
I do like the part where Barry Allen is like looking and just has no freaking clue, and he finally convinces Batman to help him. In like a few hours, he finds exactly what you're looking for. Some like Soviet Black Ops thing of like, yep, that's Batman, the greatest detective in the world.
Yeah, he's like, of course he has a backdoor to NASA, and like,
yeah.
I mean, just all the Batman stuff is super neat. The Batcave and everything. Like, it's so much fun. Just make another Batman movie. I don't give a shit about the Flash and all his stuff. Give me back Michael Keaton as Batman in another movie. Also, they brought George Clooney, too, at the very end of this movie as Bruce Wayne. So that was kind of fun.
In the time bubble thing, there was a scene in one of the Earths where it actually showed the 60s Batman. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, they showed a bunch of different Batmans and all the different stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's neat, all the callbacks, but obviously the Michael Keaton Batman is what we grew up with. I don't really have a whole lot more to say about this movie. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No. It was just like another DC movie. It's just, I feel like they tried too hard to make as much as like Marvel as possible, and it's not the same.
The only movie where that worked was The Suicide Squad, where they got James Gunn to direct it, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy, and it worked really well. But the rest of these movies are just...
I feel like when we're DC, we need to make our own brand here rather than just make it as much of Marvel as possible, because we know that works. Just do your own thing.
And with all the Batman movies, it's worked. The Tim Burton Batman movies, Christopher Nolan Batman movies, even the newest Matt Reeves Batman movie, all of that stuff works. But this DC universe that they try to do, they're too much in between grimdark and children's writings, and it doesn't work.
Either go one or the other.
Yeah, score for this movie?
You go first.
I'm actually going to give it 3 out of 5. Like I said, the first part of this movie, the first half of it was tough to watch. But the Michael Keaton Batman stuff was really fun to watch. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And actually, I feel like the end of this movie kind of recovers. There's some effective emotional stuff with his mom and the going back in time. And I thought that actually worked pretty well. And they, by some miracle, kind of recovered this movie by the end of it. So I'll say 3 out of 5.
I'm going to go 2.5. The weird time travel explanation they tried to do. And then, like you said, going from grim dark to out of nowhere, going to child level annoyed me. So I'm going to give it a 2.5. But one thing I do want to bring up is, like, I didn't fully understand is, why is the future version of the college Barry Allen like a mutant where it's like, he's like getting Kryptonian metals in his body? What the hell's going on with that?
Well, I forget exactly what that was, but it's a comic book movie, and there probably is an explanation, and maybe it's a good question, but I just cared so little I didn't even bother to ask it. This movie, again, the Batman stuff was super neat. I think they recovered some of it at the end with the emotional stuff, but there's a lot of the rest of the movie is just tough to watch.
Yeah.
Jump on to the next movie here, Violent Cop from 1989. This movie stars and is directed by Takeshi Kitano, or Beat Takeshi. Kitano was a stand-up comedian. That's how he started his career. So he was a popular comedian. Then he moved on to be a game show host called Takeshi's Castle. This TV show, this game show, was kind of like a cross between American Gladiators and Ninja Warrior. And it was kind of the first one of these types of shows, as far as I'm aware. It was insanely popular in Japan at the time, and he became super famous because of it. So on top of being a good comedian, people liked him, and this TV show host thing, then he became an actor, and then he decided to direct. This movie is his directorial debut. I'll read a synopsis here. I found this on IMDb by some person named Todd Bowman. So thanks, Todd Bowman, if you're out there. Detective Azuma is a Dirty Harry-style rogue cop who often uses violence and unethical methods to get results. While investigating a series of drug-related homicides, Azuma discovers that his friend and colleague is supplying drugs from within the police force. After he's murdered and Azuma's sister is kidnapped, he breaks all the rules to dish out his particular form of justice. Before we get into this movie, we'll talk about the visuals. Cinematography is fantastic. It's filmed in a style that I really like. All of these on-location sets and all the on-location filming, scenery on 80s and 90s 35 millimeter film is my favorite looking thing in the world. It just looks incredible. I absolutely love this style of film, the cinematography. I like all that stuff. It just looks great on 35 millimeter. A couple of the scenes here, early in the movie, that scene under the bridge at night, just the lighting and the gritty wall texture right as they ride their bikes out of the frame. And so it's just kind of underneath the tunnel. That looks really good. The dock where the guy was murdered, the daytime shot of that, just there's a ton going on there visually. The boats, the cranes, the buildings in the background, the water, and like everything that's rusted, just all that texture. And there's a shot over the top where you can kind of see the cars and just everything in the shot. I like that one a lot. The one where he's walking his sister at night, there's like a small marina in the middle of the city. You can see the lights at night, the reflections on the water. Just, again, the scene looks really good on film. On Blu-ray, the film looks good. The transfer's good. It does struggle a little bit in dark scenes. It gets kind of a little extra grainy in dark scenes. But, again, movie looks really good, especially because it's filmed in a style that I really like. So this movie opens, we see this homeless guy, and he's in pretty rough shape. And these kids are being assholes to him, and they beat the guy up. Kitano, he witnesses this, but he doesn't stop it. But he follows the kid home, barges into his house, tells his mom, like, don't worry, we just need to talk. Because she's like, who are you? What are you doing? And he flashes his badge, just pushes his way in, goes upstairs, sort of interrogates the kid, and starts beating him. So then the very next shot, these grade schoolers are throwing cans over the bridge onto this boat at this guy, and they take off running, and you see Kitano start walking, and I'm like, is he going to beat the shit out of the grade school kids now?
Maybe he didn't see the part where they were throwing cans over.
Yeah, but I mean, it just, you went from one scene where he beat the shit out of like a high school kid, and now these grade schoolers are throwing cans at people, and I'm like, shit, he's going to beat these kids up too.
That was the part of the movie was like, is this going to be a movie where every single person you see is just an asshole? Like,
he's at the police station. His partner's like arguing with that pimp, and he just walks up and like punches the guy.
This feels like this is natural. Everyone's just watching, like, yep, this cop is beast brutality to the extreme and doing nothing. Like, that would so not fly in today's standard. Like, dude, the guy would get fired so fast.
Well, he's written like 100 apologies. I also like the scene. We see a drug dealer. He stabs a guy. He's wearing this all white sweater, and he just like stabs a guy in the gut. There's no way you got no blood on this sweater. It would be impossible.
You went with the intention to kill this guy, and you picked the worst possible clothing. Like,
you wore a white sweater? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Kitano, he's an asshole to the rookie. Why would you put a rookie with this guy, of all people, on the force?
That's how police works. You put a senior cop with a rookie one.
Yeah, but the guy who has the most disciplinary problem, like, this is the last guy you want the rookie cop learning from. Also, why do people keep lending him money? He takes a cab to the crime scene. He walks away and then makes the rookie pay. And then the rookie doesn't have money because the rookie already lent him money. So they make the other cop pay. And then later on, he asks the other cop, can I borrow 10,000 yen? And the noise that he makes, he's like, eh? It's like, seriously, dude? Why would you give him money at this point? So he makes this noise of like, are you kidding me? And then hands him the money anyway.
That's just enabling behavior. It's just like, dude, at a certain point, you'd be like, no, this is not going to happen. It needs to be this way. You can no longer give him money. No one else can until he learns.
Yeah, like, I don't get it. Find out that Kitano's sister has this intellectual disability. He comes home and he finds this guy there with her, and the guy's like trying to struggle to put his pants on and stuff. And you see Kitano, and like, you're already kind of laughing because you know what's going to happen here.
I totally did. I was like, yep, this guy's getting his ass whooped, isn't he?
And so he steps outside, and Kitano kicks him down the second floor flight of stairs.
Yeah, he just keeps, like, the whole time he's walking, he just keeps hitting him. He's like asking, like, where you live? Like, you can see, he's like, I don't want to tell this guy where I live. And he's like, where do you live?
They're walking down the street, and he's just continually smacking him on his head.
Just like police brutality. He's screaming every way. I'm just like, dude.
When they're back at the police station, the cops are talking about a shootout, and the guy's like, your bullet hit a neighbor's kid. And he's like, yeah, that's because I aimed at him.
It's like, Jesus.
Well, here's the thing. Like, at first you're thinking maybe he's kidding about this, but then knowing him, you're like, maybe he's not kidding. Like,
yeah, I was like, I wonder what this guy did for him to like want to do that.
He just decided, like, this kid's being a dick, so I'm going to shoot him. I wouldn't put it past him.
After what this guy's done so far in the movie, yeah.
They keep getting new police chiefs because they're like, you're the reason why all these guys keep leaving. And he's got to write like 100 apologies to. So they go to arrest this guy. He beats the shit out of 3 cops. So the rookie goes first. He gets his ass kicked. And then the other 2 guys are like, oh, the rookie went down. So they go to fight this guy, and he beats the crap out of all 3 of them. And I'm like, this is just embarrassing.
Yes.
You have 3 guys and you can't subdue 1 guy. 4 guys. This is just pathetic. It's extremely embarrassing. But so the guy hops out the window. He's running away. There's a 4th cop standing outside. He beats the shit out of the 4th cop. And then the movie gets in almost a surreal turn of violence. After the guy beats the shit out of him, he grabs his baseball bat and just cracks his skull. And not only that, it's in front of grade schoolers. This is kind of a theme in his movies, and obviously it happens later on in this movie as well, but there are just kind of these sudden cuts to violence. Like, he's smacking people throughout the movie, and, you know, he punches guys, but it's not, none of it is super serious, and it's kind of comedic. But it immediately goes from comedic to he just cracked a guy's skull. There's just these interjections of violence in these movies. So this scene is, they're chasing this guy around forever. It almost seems like he's running in circles, and it's just this long, almost montage of just hilarity as he's running around and they're trying to find him. And finally, Kitano, he's like, he's gone by now. Like, we've lost him. And then the rookie's like, no, there he goes. So they're chasing him down that alley, right? They're in the car, and they finally catch up to him in the car, and the guy's on foot, and they start driving towards him. And immediately Kitano starts laughing, and you know what he's thinking, like before he even...
Yeah, I was just like, the moment I see that he has a car, I'm just like, yep, he's going to hit him, isn't he? I thought, well, first I was like, he's just going to plow over him and kill him? Like, I don't know what he's going to do.
But it's funny because he starts laughing, and when he starts laughing, you start laughing because you know what's going to happen. He's like, here we come. So he runs the guy over. They're sitting in the car, and the rookie's in the car with him, and he's looking at the rookie, and the rookie's kind of looking at him, and he's like, I think we killed him.
And then he gets up.
He jumps up on the hood of the car with his bat and just starts crushing in the whole windshield. And then they put the car in reverse and then run him over a second time. They're back at the police and they're like,
you forgot the part where after they hit him the second time, the guy gets out of the car and starts like kicking him while he's on the ground. It gets so bad, his rookie literally jumps in the way to make him stop hitting the guy. Or just kicking him.
Yeah.
And he's like, stop. And the other cops finally show up. I was like, that part was just like, dude, you know what's bad when your rookie is literally jumping in the way to like prevent you from hitting this guy further.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, he did crack a cop's skull. Listen, I know there's a thing about police brutality. If you cause serious bodily harm to a police officer, I am not sorry if they fucking mangle you. Which is kind of what I expect, right? So they're back at the police station after he's ran the guy over twice and kicked him. And the police chief is like, did we need to hit him with the car twice to make an arrest?
That part was just great.
So he has to write yet another apology. He finds out his friend on the force is dealing drugs. They go to this club and they interrogate these guys. And he's like beating this guy again. The guy's staying silent. And then finally he's like, obviously, you know who's providing us the drugs. It's your partner. Like, aren't you involved in this? So he finds out and he talks to the guy and the guy pulls him aside in his... We see a scene of him and they're in the diner and the guy's talking to Kitano. And you can tell, like, at this point, Kitano's basically just going to ignore it, right? He's let it go. And his police chief pulls him in and says, hey, have you noticed him acting weird? Is anything going on? He's like, no. But the people who are behind the drugs, they end up killing his partner. So they have the funeral for him. So the funeral card, man, that thing is just, it's something.
Oh, yeah. That was a little like...
Just is interesting because it's not something that we really see. So when this thing pulls up, is like, oh, these are what these look like in other countries. So the main bad guy, he's chasing down the other drug dealer. He has a pipe, but he doesn't fight the enforcer off. He lets the enforcer kick him off of a building.
Yeah, that was like...
Like, you have a pipe and you know this guy's going to kill you, but you're not going to fight back? Like, you literally just let him kick you off a building.
Maybe he thought he was going to miss and feel like it wasn't worth it. I don't know.
So he kicks the guy off the building and then, like, cuts his fingers and he falls off and dies. And I'm like, I feel like you would fight back a little bit more. When the enforcer goes to talk to that corporate guy, his office, he's in this gigantic office and there's, like, nothing in this office except for 2 desks. His desk is not only a massive desk, but it's just floating in the middle of the room. Like, it's such a weird setup. Like, I wonder if this is how all executives and offices and stuff looked back then. It was just kind of weird.
Yeah, I thought that was weird because most of them always have like a bunch of, I wouldn't say trophies, but like
something, anything.
Sentiment stuff or like something that means to them or like their diploma or, like you said, there's nothing there.
I don't know if they ran out of budget or if I don't know if that was actually a thing. It's just weird because it's this massive office and then there's just a desk randomly in the middle of the office. And normally, like, the desk would be at the window, so you have a view. Like, nope, they just plopped it right in the middle of this gigantic room. I mean, it almost acts like a throne in a way. So they track down the bad guy. They track him down to this hotel room. The hotel room, by the way, has very interesting decor. Everything is in this, like, granite. The walls, the ceiling, it's all, like, with these slabs of granite or rock or whatever. Like, it's a very time period specific decor in this place that they have. But they track him down. They take him back to the station, and Kitano's beating on him. And this guy is just ignoring it mostly. He's like, whatever. And then Kitano tries to get him to grab a knife so he can shoot him. And this guy knows what's going on. And then he starts talking about Kitano's sister. And then Kitano shoves a gun in his mouth and is ready to kill this guy. And they all have to jump on him. So essentially he gets suspended or he gets thrown off the force because he tried to kill this guy. And then things start getting pretty dark. This guy takes his sister and they start gang raping her.
Another Japanese movie with rape.
To me, it was kind of weird because you don't even know if Kitano knows that his sister was kidnapped.
Yeah, I was like, when you go home and she isn't there, wouldn't you be a little more concerned of like, where'd she go? Like, she can't really be on her own.
The movie doesn't do a good job portraying that he even knows she's gone until he finds her later on in the movie. To me, the interpretation that I got was that he didn't even know his sister was missing until he finds her at the end of the movie. And maybe that's not what was intended, but they don't do a good job telling you if he does know she's missing. After Kitano gets thrown off the force, this guy, the enforcer, he comes after Kitano. He tries to stab him. They're wrestling around on the ground. This guy tries to shoot Kitano. Kitano kicks the gun out of the way, and the guy just shoots some girl in the head on the street. Just straight out murders her in cold blood. And there's another woman with him who starts screaming. So again, like, it's a surreal scene because these movies, they're not violent the entire way through. So it's almost kind of jarring when this happens.
Yeah, with multiple witnesses. Why isn't the entire police force breaking this guy's door down after he murdered someone with multiple witnesses and probably cameras?
Yeah, especially in Japan, gun violence and especially murders with firearms are extremely, extremely rare. So it's insane to think that it wouldn't be a manhunt for a guy who shot a girl on the street. And I mean, maybe it is. They just don't portray that. So Kitano, he stabs this guy and he gets away. He goes into the office where the corporate guy who's kind of in charge of all the drug dealing and just shoots him in the middle of the office, in the middle of the daytime. You're like, this guy's life is over at this point. There's no, like, you've just murdered someone in cold blood in the middle of an office.
There was a scene before that where after he takes his sister and kills that lady, the enforcer guy goes back to that office. He pretty much is like, I disown you because you've yet again disobeyed my orders. So the main character doesn't even know that this head guy didn't even order both of those things that he hates the guy for in the first place.
I mean, regardless, though, he's still kind of the ultimate cause of it. They have a final showdown. The bad guy's at his hideout with his other men, getting all these guns together, and he's giving them to the guys, and he's telling them, don't try and run. He's going to kill you. So either you stay or I'll kill you. He shoots one of his own guys, and he's not even looking at the other guys. So the other guy is like, I'm not doing this. So he shoots the enforcer behind the back. You're a moron. Why didn't you see this coming? On top of it, these guys are all terrible with firearms. You can tell they have never shot a gun, or like extremely rarely, because the guy's standing point blank and he can't kill someone with the gun. He shoots the second guy. The third guy is trying to run away. He blasts a shotgun at him. He misses. The third guy gets to the door, opens the door, and Kitano's standing there and just shoots him. So the enforcer guy, who is now bleeding out because his own man shot him, Kitano sees him laying up against the pillar. They have another shootout where it's like they're 20 feet away from each other and neither one of them can hit anything.
Yeah, that was crazy level. I was like, don't they have firearms training as a police officer? Like,
yeah. Like, you guys are awful. He finally kills the enforcer guy, even though he's taken a couple bullets himself. And then his sister runs out. He sees his sister, and you don't know, like, did he even know she was missing or not? And they've gotten her addicted to drugs. So she's trying to search a corpse for drugs. Like, she needs the next hit. And Kitano, he sees this and he just kills her. He kills his own sister. I don't know if he's thinking maybe she's better off dead at this point, right? They got her addicted to drugs, and Kitano knows his life is over at this point. So now there's going to be no one to look after her. So maybe he just figures she's better off. Either way, it's all very nihilistic. Everyone's murdered each other. And then finally, the corpo guy's second in command has been watching all this and shows up and then shoots Kitano. And then it says everyone has gone crazy.
I also do like you're in your own building and you don't even turn the lights on. And it's just like the doors open just enough for the entire fight scene of where he's at the pillar and where he walks to is lighted. He lights up. It's like, now this whole building's like, oh, this place has lights? Like, oh my God, I didn't know that. I thought it was like, didn't the guys who like are in this place turn the lights on? Especially it's, not like a room light sort of situation, like a normal building where it's like, it's one light for the entire building. So why aren't the lights on?
Yeah, that is kind of funny at the very end. Everyone's dead. They've had this whole shootout. He murdered everyone, and they flick a light switch. The end of the movie, It's the cycle repeating itself.
The rookie cop, who's now one of the veteran cops, second in command, is now the head drug kingpin dude, and he literally just bribes him of like, okay, I want you to take over for the corrupt cop and deal drugs as a police officer. And he's like, oh, I'm not stupid. I'll go right ahead. It's like,
Did you learn nothing?
yeah, I was like,
Or maybe you learned too much hanging out with Kitano and all this corrupt bullshit. Score for this movie, or was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
no, you can go first for the score.
All right. Score-wise, this is his first movie. I thought he did a good job with it. I'm going to say 3.5 stars. There's some funny stuff in this movie, and Kitano, his movies are kind of a combination of like slice of life, dark comedy, and then nihilistic violence. It's an extremely unique style of movie that he makes, and this is kind of the template for more of the movies he's going to make later on.
I gave it a 3. I thought about giving it 3.5, but like you said, it kind of makes it dark humor. The corruption is so ridiculous. It's more like funny than just, and then just immediately goes to someone dying in a horrible way. And how the character just gets away with so much stuff over a written apology. It's like, so this guy literally just beat up a suspect the most worst way. And it's like, oh, go ahead and write an apology. It was like, you just hit this guy twice with a car and literally kicked him repeatedly on the ground. And your punishment is you got to write an apology. Like, okay.
You shot someone's kid with a stray bullet. You write an apology.
It's just like, okay, if that was your intent to go the dark humor route, it's like, why don't you make the whole movie about that? But no, then it goes to like the super dark. Everyone is screwed in the movie. No one has a happy ending at all.
Yeah, this very nihilistic, really dark. Again, this is kind of the template. The next movie we watch will probably be his next movie. I feel like he does this better in his next movies. He gets the formula a little bit better. It works better, in my opinion, in the other movies. But I think this is a good start for a first movie. He does a good job kind of establishing what his style is. He's also obsessed with this character that he plays. It's a sociopathic character, impulsive, gambles, he borrows money from people, and violent, likes hitting people, and he manipulates people. He plays this character in a couple other movies. It's not obviously the exact same, but it's a very similar character. I really like his movies, at least his next 3 movies, I think. So this was his first. His next 3 movies, I like them extremely well. And then I kind of don't like any of the movies, or I don't like them nearly as well after those 3. But we'll watch the next one, and then maybe we'll watch a couple more later on at some point in time. Anything else?
No.
All right. Later, man.
Yep. Oh, I like how when you finish with your sheet, you literally like threw it into like where your feet are supposed to go, but there's nothing there, so it just fell on the ground.
Well, yeah, that was the point.
Why'd you just put it on the floor?
Whatever, get it out of the way.
This is like you threw it over there, and it's just fucking fell on the ground. I'm like, okay.
So Arrow is from the UK. They're a UK company, whereas Criterion's an American company. I ordered something from them, and of course it has to come from overseas. So they ship me this DVD. I get it, and it shows up in like the Amazon bag. So of course it's completely crushed, you know what I mean, going overseas or whatever. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, why would you ship a plastic container, you know, a plastic DVD case in literally just a bag? If you had the option between it being mediocre or a complete pile of shit, what would your option be?
Well, I mean, mediocre, obviously.
I don't know. To me, mediocre might almost be worse.